Yeah, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. He's going to get this in 6 games. I mean, what is this?
Hello world, and welcome back to Gridiron Campbell, the only podcast that puts its money where its mouth is. I'm your host, Rich Ryan, and I'm joined by 2 members of the collective, the Disciple, Brett Colson, and the resident moose himself, Mo Nuora. Donnie caught up with something poker, but we have some player prop clicks from him that I can share if he's unable to join us. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Give us maybe your favorite bet that we offer, or if there's something we missed that you love, let us know in the comments below. Listeners, rate and review on your podcatcher of choice. I got to check my screen for this one. 5 stars only. Like Owen Papo, linebacker, Arizona Cardinals. 5-star went to Auburn, was a 5th round pick in 2023 by the Arizona Cardinals. And the reason why I was combing through the Cardinals roster is because, once again, the collective, it's not just Brett this time. The collective just loves the 2025 Arizona Cardinals. And Brett, we'll just kick it off right with you. You were bullish on them to win the division. And so this is a very correlated bet, which is nearly probably 4x times the value of getting them to win the division. And it is for Jonathan Gannon to win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, let's just win all the money with the Cardinals. This one is definitely correlated with the division. Coach of the Year is, of course, narrative driven. And voters love the coach of the team that comes out of nowhere to make the playoffs, exceed expectations. And all I needed was last week's response from Rich to my Cardinals bets to say Arizona is not on anybody's radar this year. Like, even after an 8-win season in which they made a giant leap last year too. They even led the division midway through the season, but that's all forgotten. And the Cardinals are, again, a trash bag in the eyes of most football fans. But I think Gannon gets them this year, setting the stage for a Coach of the Year run. He's totally remade this defense. He added a bunch to help out that unit going into the season. He brings a lot of creativity in his scheme that I think is going to create problems for quarterbacks, not only in that division, but around the league. And if Arizona pushes past 10 wins, they compete for that NFC West and win that division and look like one of the more complete teams in the league, which I think they could. He checks all the boxes you need to win this award, like turning a middling team into a contender, doing it with a rebuilt defense that he can take credit for, and maybe unlocking a quarterback who, like, Kyler has great moments, and we'll talk about him a little later on the show, but he's also been uneven throughout his career. So 20-1, Jonathan Gannon is he's my favorite bet on the board. I love this bet on Gannon.
Narratives are so important when it comes to these awards. I'll have a little bit on this later with an MVP tout that I have. But Mo, YouTube did not talk, but you too are clicking Jonathan Gannon plus 2,000 to win Coach of the Year.
I need to ask Brett, your favorite bet on the Coach of the Year board or the entire board?
Entire board.
Okay. All right. That's exciting stuff.
I'm all in on the Cardinals.
I mean, part of my reasoning is just basically what you had said before, which is that the Cardinals have a chance to surprise. And so if we think they have a chance to surprise, which I wasn't like super high on the Cardinals or anything, but I'm high enough to think that they're drawing live. And if they're drawing live, 20-1 seems kind of crazy. This is partially a market play. It's 14-1 elsewhere, but 20-1 at Caesars. That seems pretty good. I also think the vulnerabilities we've seen in the other teams in the division play into this a little bit. Matt Stafford came back to practice, but who knows what that even means. And then, San Francisco, a lot of injury question marks there as well, from the weapons on down to the fact that the defense is pretty rebuilt. Who knows what's going to happen there. And also, don't we just have history of Jonathan Gannon teams outperforming expectations so far. I mean, we're on year 3, and I think he's 2 for 2. I know they won 4 games the first year, but everyone thought they were going to roll over and be like a 1 or 2 win team, it seemed like that year. Like, they were the consensus worst team in the NFL. They won 4 games. They competed in a lot more than that. So I think he's shown a pretty consistent ability to outperform expectations there.
He also had the Nick Sirianni thing where one of his introductory media pieces was just this dweeb accountant looking guy telling them to be effing killers. And it was like, who is this dude? So there was just immediate negative market sentiment. But yeah, he's had his team ready to play for 2 consecutive years now. And man, this makes me so bullish on them early season to see during September if some of the general market sentiment that we've talked about is that more of a malaise, and if we can perhaps get some value as we start some of our circuit capping to start the season. Let's keep it in Arizona. Brett, we'll go back to you. You teased it. If the team is going to win the division potentially, if the coach is going to be coach of the year potentially, that means the guy under center is going to play well as well.
Look, this is a throw a few shekels on this, but I'm a firm believer that there are only like 5 guys who can actually win this award. But if the Cardinals are going to make a leap and win 12 games, it will be because Kyler Murray finally puts together a season at the level that he flashes in stretches that we've seen. Like, we know what the ceiling is. Like, he was great the first 10 games last year. They were 6-4. They were right in it, and then he just completely fell apart. But, you know, he has his moments where he does look like an MVP caliber quarterback. And I'm also fully bought into year 2 of Marvin Harrison Jr. He's just too good a football player. When you combine that now with a lot of consistency in who is in this offense and who the offense is running under in Drew Petzing, I like the continuity and the support that Murray hasn't really enjoyed throughout his career. There's a lot of the same guys coming back, and I feel really good about this offense. So, look, MVP is a quarterback award. Like I said, if Arizona wins 12 games, takes the NFC West, and Murray plays like he did for the first half of last year across the entire season, I think he's in the conversation. Like, we always have one of those guys, whether it's a Brock Purdy or a Dak Prescott, who just kind of sneaks in, right? I think this could be the year Kyler Murray is in the conversation towards, you know, the end of December for this award. And, you know, maybe we see a lot of those elite peaks that he's proven capable of and is more consistent with those peaks throughout the year.
The mobility helps too. If you get some cheap rushing, both yards and touchdowns, I mean, that's really what makes Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson so incredibly valuable in the MVP race, is because a lot of these metrics that the nerds and the people voting on this lean into, EPA and QBR, take into account rushing. So their performances on the ground definitely give them a massive leg up over your traditional pocket passers. One of the guys Kyler Murray will be targeting is a massive touchdown regression candidate, and Mo thinks he's just going to blow through that ceiling and make up for last year and perhaps lead the league in touchdowns. It's a big price you're getting on Trey McBride, Mo. Yeah,
I mean, touchdowns are unpredictable and kind of random, so I feel like that's the market where you want to lean into the variance a little bit. I mean, what if I told you the guy who was 4th in receptions last year was 75-1 to lead in touchdowns? That seems kind of crazy, right? I mean, not only was he 4th in receptions, but it's not like he didn't have a huge target share in the red zone, guys. I mean, 4th in target rate in the red zone, according to Pro Football References tracking, 12th in total red zone targets. He gets more than his share of chances, but kind of an abnormally low catch rate. He's like in the 30s. Everyone else there was like usually 50% plus. So I feel like that's bound to regress. It's not like he's got, Sam Howell throwing him these targets. Like, the guy should be able to make some plays. You got Brock Bowers, who like basically had similar production to Trey McBride last year across the board. Brock Bowers sitting 40-1 in this market. I mean, one of those prices has to be wrong. Like, why would he be 75-1? Brock Bowers is 40-1. It makes no sense. So I feel like the value's got to be on the 75-1 shot here.
I love that price. And the guy that I'm going to offer up doesn't have as good a price, less than half of the price. But how about the guy who was third in targets last year overall? And I'm looking at it now, tied for fourth in red zone targets. And it's Drake London plus 3,000 on FanDuel to lead the league in receiving touchdowns. What's really exciting about Drake London is his trajectory just continues to climb. And last year, last 3 games of the season, when they gave Penix the reins, Penix targeted this dude 39 times in 3 games, capping it off with 18 targets in the last week of the season. An absolute offensive explosion for Drake London in that contest. As a team, they have the 4th easiest schedule per Sharp Football, 12 games indoors. And my last note from Drake London specifically is you can't teach 6'4". Like, this dude has an absolute beautiful frame for somebody to dominate in the red zone. Great body position. Like, Drake London is almost automatic on like a 5-yard slant when you're in the red. He just can get in front of his player, box them out, and make the play. And then if you look at the market, T. Higgins had 50 fewer targets last year, plus 2,200. Marvin Harrison, there is some post-sleeper, post-rookie year hype for Marvin Harrison, plus 2,500, even with some question marks there for Marv. So I just think this is a great price on a great player on a team that, again, we were bullish on last week, ton of indoor games. And Michael Penix is just the guy you want to be throwing somebody who you need a ton of volume at, because it feels like Penix is just going to fire it in there to his guy. So big fan of my guy, Drake London.
What's Kyle Pitts'
All right, let's keep
number in that market? I can't
The memes
quit
are
him.
flying. The memes are flying. Every time I get one, I just send it to Mo in DMs, and they're outrageously good. All right, let's keep it in the NFC South. Let's keep it at receiver in the NFC South, because it's Mo and I who are aligned on the next one, and it's on Offensive Rookie of the Year. Mo, tell the people why they should be looking at T-Mac plus 1,600 to win OROY.
Yeah, this is one where, I'm just going to have to be honest. I don't know that much about the player. I can't say that I watched very much Arizona football last year or the year prior, but just based on the scouting reports, everything I've seen, and I'm looking at the rest of this Carolina roster, he's 16-1 to win Rookie of the Year. Isn't he the clear-cut favorite to lead this team in receiving? I mean, you have Adam Thielen, who I think was their top guy last year, is ancient and is doing an admirable job of staving off Father Time. But how much longer can that last? Jalen Coker kind of came out of nowhere, but he's not even listed as one of the starters right now. Xavier Legette. It was a rough season for Xavier Legette. Let's just leave it there. So, there's no, tight end to speak of, really, unless you're a big Jatavian Sanders believer. So I feel like he's the clear favorite to lead the team in receiving. And there's been a lot of Bryce Young discourse this offseason. There's some haters out there. I was one of them when he was coming out of the draft. Okay. Not a Bryce Young guy, never really have been. Maybe I'm just buying into the narrative too much, but I thought he looked legitimately much, much better down the stretch last year. And I'm with all of the people that think that was real. The schedule is relatively friendly. The defense stinks, so I think they should be in a lot of shootouts. When I'm looking at their schedule, the only defense that is on there that I'm really fearful of is probably Seattle. So, I think the way is clear for Tet McMillan to put up some counting stats. And at that point, you're just basically rooting for the top guys to kind of, disappoint a little bit. For people who don't know, Genty and Cam Ward are sucking up a lot of oxygen in this market. They are both in the ballpark of plus 300, so very, very clear favorites over the rest of the field.
And we talked about this offline, you and I, Mo, as Donnie joins the program with it. Looks like, what is behind you? They look like, the blow-up WWF dolls. That's what these people behind you look like.
They are giant pinatas. Dean Eggs.
That is the worst. That is the worst Dean Eggs. I'm sorry to the artist.
That Phil Hellmuth looks just like, if you guys have seen the South Park with the guy who plays World of Warcraft and is like sitting back in his thing and just shoveling pork rinds down his gullet or whatever while they're chasing the sword of unspeakable destruction or whatever it is. I can't remember the episode, but yeah, looks just like him. Sorry, Phil Hellmuth, but that's bad.
Perfect timing, because we're gonna get to your first tout in a second, DP, your Bryce Young tout, because Mo and I are waxing poetic about rookie receiver Tetairoa McMillan, who, by the way, folks, he likes to go by T-Mac. He does not like the nickname Tet, which I'm kind of wishy-washy about. You don't really get to pick your nickname. That's one of the things that I've been told, but he prefers to go by T-Mac. T-Mac was an elite producer in college, 2 years where he had more than 3 receiving yards per team pass attempt, which in my guy JJ's model is absolutely elite. Great players are usually in the high 2s. Anything up 3 and above means you were an absolute demon on the field. He had a 96 out of 100 in JJ's model in terms of score, and he was just a boring prospect. He was who he was entering his final season, and that just didn't really excite people, but all he did was go out and produce. In terms of statistical comps, the 3 biggest ones in JJ's model, to put a pin in that, were T. Higgins, Courtland Sutton, and Mike Williams. So this is somebody with the frame and the ability to step in and produce right away. And Mo, your last point, I think, is the most salient. This is just one of those markets with a lot of gravity being pulled in a couple of directions with Genty and with Cam Ward. And I'm always going to look for outliers in those scenarios. I can't tell you how much time I spent looking at Defensive Rookie of the Year today, looking for somebody to pivot off of Abdul Carter. But everybody I landed on, I couldn't love them enough to put in a real money wager or tout them. I really wanted to, as a quick sidetrack, I really wanted to click Tyleik Williams, but I just don't know. There's just going to be so much rotation in the middle for the Lions that I just don't think he's going to get the requisite number of snaps to make a big impact. But I mean, rushing next to some of those guys, Tyleik is so special that I think he could have a huge impact. But there's nobody from a pass rush standpoint that I think is going to hold a candle to Abdul Carter. Like, I think this guy is just going to.
That's the problem with all the defensive awards in general. It's just like, we know who the guys are going to be that get all the sacks, and those are the guys who get all the defensive awards. So I would say, from my understanding, is Tyleik doesn't. I looked at him too, but he doesn't fit the player archetype that you need. I think he's more of a run stuffer, is my understanding. So I don't think that's the one. You need counting stats.
I almost came to this podcast with Abdul Carter, but that was kind of boring, so I did not.
Wow. I mean, so listeners, if Brett's going to come with a plus whatever 280 in a market like that.
Yeah, but it's the Giants.
Well, he's just Giants filled. He's just
we're gonna buy Brett a Giants jersey for Christmas at this rate.
All right, we've been waxing poetic. We've been waxing poetic. I mean, they are a New York team. We've been waxing poetic about the Carolina Panthers. DP, pile on. You like Bryce Young's over 3,200 passing yards this season.
Yeah, also 18.5 passing touchdowns. Took that as well. I mean, on a simple outlook, if you just take a look at last year's second half of the season, let's say the last 8 games, he averaged 213 yards per game, 12 TDs, 3 interceptions. I think that after all the benching and that sort of stuff that happened, we saw the Bryce Young that I think a lot of people anticipated we would see much more of, at least earlier on in his career. Now, maybe he's getting into that form a little bit later than people would have expected, being the number 1 overall pick, but I think there are signs there. You guys said you were talking about Tet McMillan. I mean, listen, I'm going to keep calling him Tet. I don't care. You don't get to choose your own nickname as far as I'm concerned. I think he's in that somewhat decent group of receivers, at least enough so that like there's like volume there that I think Bryce is going to be able to spread the ball around pretty well. There was some improvement last year with the offensive line. They're bringing that offensive line back. Do I think they're going to be world beaters up front? No. Do I think they can be top 10 to 12 unit in the league? Sure. Right? I think that all things considered, at the end of the day, I don't think Bryce Young is ultimately going to be like that number 1 overall pick everyone had hoped he would be. Everyone hopes that you get out of that sort of draft position. But can he be a good, serviceable QB who gets a lot of yards in this league, a lot of stats? Yeah, I don't think 3,200 yards in a 17-game season is that much to ask from this guy with these weapons behind that offensive line, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I'm high on the yardage. I'm high on the over the passing touchdowns, and I think Bryce Young can get it there. And, even though I don't think he's ultimately going to be that person that we talk about where he's like, yeah, that's the number 1 overall pick. That's what he's supposed to be. I think he's going to be pretty solid, and that's all we need here to deliver the overs.
An offensive line, by the way, PFF is bullish on ranking them 11th in the league entering the season. All right, everyone take a step back. Folks, if you're out there listening, strap in. Here comes, I can't wait, a super galaxy brain take from Mo on offensive. It's really not that crazy.
Do we have a sounder for this one, or can I just go?
I don't know what sounder you would want.
But you had a galaxy brain sounder.
Sorry.
You do need a galaxy brain sounder. We use galaxy
Add
brain
it to the
enough.
list. Add it to the list of the shit I do.
Listen, I haven't touted very many 500 to 1s over the years. But here's a 500 to 1 that I actually think has a tiny, tiny chance of coming home. Is it that crazy to think Josh Simmons could win Offensive Rookie of the Year? It's crazy, but is it 500 to 1 crazy? Everything I've been hearing in camp, aces, he's doing great against some very good pass rushers. What he needs is basically another magical Chiefs season, another 14-plus win season. Yes, the Chiefs have a tough schedule. Yes, they probably aren't going to go 11-0 in one-score games. But if he just has like a 4 sacks allowed season, the Chiefs are the number 1 seed. The narrative is going to be they fix the offensive line. Everybody else kind of disappoints at the top. This is 150 to 1 on FanDuel. So 500 to 1 at Caesars. Put a few bucks on it. Shekels, like Brett said. How crazy can it be?
You know what he needs? Again, these are all narrative-driven awards. Oh, look at Mike. I gotta tell you. You get Simmons falling to the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. That's just crazy. That's what you need. You need Chris Collinsworth slobbing on him on Sunday Night Football in front of the nation. You can get me
No.
there. The counting stats obviously are completely non-existent. So you're operating purely off of fumes and narrative. But I feel like the outcome here is like the Chiefs literally have to win like 15 games and Mahomes has to be the MVP, which I feel like those prices combined are not, you're not getting the 500 to 1 with any of those.
Isn't there a 1 in 500 chance he's Trent Williams? Why can't he just be Trent Williams 1 in 500 times?
I don't think Trent Williams, if he was eligible for this award, would even be in contention. They're just never going to give it to an offensive lineman.
You got to hope that they run.
You need him to be Trent Williams plus all these other people to get hurt. That all needs to happen.
Couple tackle eligible touchdowns tossed in there. That's what you need.
Yeah, can he catch? That's what you really need to be researching. Can he catch?
One will script up a tackle eligible touchdown for him to capitalize on the narrative, it would be Andy Reid.
That's a fair point.
I think if I remember during the draft process, I could be way off. I think I remember Josh Simmons playing running back in high school, which, I mean, isn't that crazy? Some of these guys, they don't get to that like 270, 300 body type until they go to college, and they're just the most athletic dude on their team. So it's not that crazy, but I think I remember that. Let's keep it one more rookie. This one is actually our first bearish take of the podcast, and it's going to come from DP, who thinks perhaps going both ways for Travis Hunter down in Duval is going to be to his detriment, and that he'll go under 750.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, so you mentioned the two-way thing, which I think is probably going to get in the way somehow in the production here. I don't think you can just jump into the NFL and start playing two ways. And I'm going to be very simple with this. I watched this guy run a couple routes, and I was the most unimpressed person in the universe. I was like, how is he going to get away from NFL DBs? Have fun, buddy. You're going to go under. I see no way that this is going to actually work out. I think we're going to look at this trade and be like, that was insane that the Jaguars did that. That's how I think is going to result from this. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll have egg on my face, but Hunter's not going to be that good. I'm calling it right now.
Are the Browns the most fake sharp organization of all time? Because on the surface, this is an unbelievable trade, right? But then they just go and they do the most boneheaded things over and over again. And I know the Haslams had a very large influence on the Deshaun Watson thing, but it's really hard to just give them a pass for making that move and giving that guy that much guaranteed money. And then, of course, they go ahead and get Isaiah Bond after the Quinshon Judkins thing, after the Deshaun Watson thing. So it's like, man, you, as soon as you want to give the Browns the benefit of the doubt, they do everything they can to try to rip it from your hands. And on the surface, I did like the Hunter trade. And yeah, 750.5 is a lot, especially for an offense that already has weapons, right? Like we all love BTJ here. They have two backs who can catch the ball out of the backfield in ETN and the fellow rookie, Bashal Tutin. I mean, Parker Washington is a guy that's going to be out there running meaningful routes and gaining targets. So this is a pretty large number, especially if we are to believe that he's going to be playing both ways and playing a big chunk on defense. All right, the Brett and Mo mind meld continues because this is my favorite every year. Most interceptions, by far my favorite market, because you're trying to thread the needle of who is going to play all 17 games, but play poorly enough or have enough variance that they can lead the league in interceptions. And Mo and Brett both landed on, and Brett will start with you, a quarterback who you backed to win the division his rookie year at plus 4,000, CJ Stroud.
Yeah, you mentioned variance, but also volume. And the Texans might not have a choice this year, but to throw every single down. Because I don't know how this team moves the ball on the ground. Not only is this a bottom 3 offensive line coming into the season, but you've got Joe Mixon. Who knows when he's going to come in and play this year. Behind him is the corpse of Nick Chubb, looking like the lead back. I still don't know what a Woody Marks is. Damian Pierce, is that still a thing? Like, is Dare going to be the lead back and the special teams guy? Are they going to bring in a Brian Robinson? Where's the ground game coming from in Houston? And we talk about running backs not mattering and next man up, but Houston does not have a warm body here that can carry the rock efficiently. So I see this resulting in a volume increase in the passing game from Stroud, who was bad last year. And I don't see it getting a whole lot better behind a downgraded offensive line. So when you pair the uptick in passing volume with the downgrade in offense, I like CJ Stroud at 40-1 to lead the league in interceptions, which, yeah, it's a big number and it's unlikely to happen, especially with how good their defense is. They're not going to need to throw the ball all over the field, but he threw 12 picks last year. He didn't look like he did in his rookie season. I think a lot of that has to do with the offensive line problems. And then, like I said, they did nothing to fill those leaks.
12 picks last year for CJ Stroud at a pretty gaudy 2.3% interception rate. Mo, pile on. You got the same click.
Yeah, I learned from you, Rich. Find a guy that's going to throw the ball a lot and see if variance takes over. I mean, that's kind of what interceptions are about. So I think, like Brett said, we should see a lot of pass attempts, and they should be a lot of pass attempts under pressure here. So that's basically the key to my analysis. And, he looked like a special interception avoider his rookie year. Obviously, I believe he led the league in INT rate. But, a lot of good fortune in that. Multiple dropped interceptions. That looks like it might have been a fluke after he had a really normal INT rate in year 2. And just winds up 4 back of the interception lead. So he's close to being there already last year. And like Brett said, I don't anticipate a very good rushing attack from Houston. I don't think, because of not being able to have a good rushing attack, and because I don't really believe in this offense, even if the defense is playing well, I don't think they're going to be playing from way ahead a lot to the point where they're just going to be like pounding the rock or anything like that. So this number is closer to 25-1 at the other sites. So I think 40-1 is definitely too high on Stroud.
So if you want to talk about excellent interception rate, then I have to mention the guy that I'm touting here. I'm getting greedy. So I like Justin Herbert at 100-1 to lead the league in interceptions. The guy was incredible last year when it came to protecting the football. A 0.6% interception rate. Insanity, considering he threw the ball 504 times, 13th in the league in attempts. But his career rate is around that normal amount, 1.5% interception rate. And the last time we saw this dude, he threw 4 interceptions in one game. So it is possible for Justin Herbert to turn the ball over. I heard a lot of echoes from last week, and this is why it tempted me to make this selection about the Chargers defense taking a step back. And then, of course, you guys talk about pressure, the Rashawn Slater injury, which is going to make Joe Alt kick over and leave a bit of a hole at right tackle. Chargers surprisingly were 11th in the league, 12th or 11th in pass rate over expected as well last year. So they weren't as super crammy as people expected. That stat is from NFL ELO. So, like you guys said, this is a play about volume and a play about variance. So if that pass rate ticks up a little bit and Herbert gets closer to like that 550 attempt mark, if they're playing in more negative scripts and not salting the game away as they had opportunities to do last year, I think there's paths to getting to this 100-1. It is definitely a punt. It's a big number, and Herbert could just have that ability to be less turnover prone than others, especially with Harbaugh coaching him, right? This is actually a trait that he might have. So I'm not out here saying that this is an absolute slam dunk. But I really like the CJ Stroud tout. I was also interested in Bo Nix. Bo Nix was plus 3,500. He was actually tied for third in interceptions last year. Tied for third with 12 last year. Had plenty of attempts, 567 attempts in a Sean Payton offense that likes to use the short pass as an extension of the run game. So the volume is going to be there. And Bo Nix is not going to get benched in Denver. So you're going to thread that needle there. 35-1. I'd just rather just go absolute punt and try to get the 100-1 on Justin Herbert. So that's ultimately why I landed there. DP, let's get you back involved. You're bearish again. And just like last week, you were bearish on the team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Yins is bearish on their quarterback as well. Aaron Rodgers under 3,200 passing yards.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's not even going to make it through the season. So lock in the under while you can. I mean, come on. How old is he now? 42? Doesn't want to take hits? It's just, there's no way Aaron Rodgers hits the over on his passing yards, in my opinion. There's just no way. I don't think he wants to hang in a pocket and actually throw a ball. And then I'm going to also tag team that with DK Metcalf. Because if Aaron Rodgers can't get anyone the ball, he's certainly not going to get DK Metcalf the ball. To me, DK Metcalf is not a guy who gets open super, super fast and catches a 4-yard pass. Like he's like kind of a bigger guy, wants to go a little bit downfield, play outside the numbers. I don't think that that's what Aaron Rodgers is going to really be looking to do right now. So I think pairing these two things together. So I got under 3,200.5 passing yards for Rodgers. I got under 950.5 receiving yards. I mean, the Rodgers thing for sure. I just don't, part of it is I don't think he's going to make it through the season. I mean, one hit from this guy and he could be out. I'm sorry to like want to root for injury. I'm not rooting for injury. I just don't think somebody can make it. I really do think, shout out Bill Simmons for always saying this, but I do believe it. Brady skewed the thought as it comes to this. And LeBron, too. Like, people do not play this late into their career. LeBron is a unicorn. Brady is a unicorn. And even Brady, Rich used to clown on it all the time. That guy never took a sack. He just fell down. Like, Rodgers is not going to take hits. Like, there's no way.
2 suspect tackles in Pittsburgh, as well as the entire league has realized that we've seen guys, I mean, Mahomes plays preseason every year, but we're starting to see Burrow played this week again. We're starting to see more guys get in preseason because you almost need to callous the body a little bit. That's becoming in vogue because there's such limited hitting time in practice nowadays that it's actually becoming more prudent to play some guys in preseason, get bumped out there so that week 1, it's not just like, holy hell, what's going on here? And Aaron Rodgers is just part of the old school. That dude is not going to step onto the field into the preseason. It could be to his detriment, especially, I said it last week, I'll say it again. I don't get the pairing with DK Metcalf. As somebody who watched Rodgers play last year, he is just so averse to that type of throw where it's just back shoulder, let the guy go get it. Unless your name is like Devontae Adams and he has a mind meld with you. I just don't see him off of one training camp trusting somebody on those types of throws. So I can certainly understand looking for the under on both of them, and they are directly correlated. A former Pittsburgh Steeler continuing the G-Main train. He can't get enough of Big Blue. This one is an alternate line. Brett's all in. Brett likes Russell Wilson's alternate passing yards over.
Yeah, this one's hard to find. It's a milestone market on DraftKings, but yeah, this is as much a bet on the Giants' success as it is on Russell Wilson. But I don't believe Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen want Jackson Dart to play this season. This is a coach and a GM in need of a winning season, possibly for their jobs, and they brought in 2 veteran quarterbacks to help them get there, and they've got Jackson Dart waiting in the wings. Russ is the starter. He is durable. He's great at protecting himself from serious injury. And when you combine that with Daboll and his scheme that emphasizes quick reads and rhythm passing, I think it gives Russ a good chance to stay upright for a full season. And when you combine that with a defense that could move mountains up front this season, I love this defensive line, sets up for, I think, what's going to be a full season of Russ. And for a guy who's thrown for 4,000 yards several times in his career, I like getting 10-1 for him to do it again this year. I think he's going to play all 17 games. If you don't think Russ has a long leash like I do, this is not a bet for you. But I trust Daboll and for this team to win 7+ games and remain in playoff contention into December. And that's really what this bet is.
Jackson Dart, officially a bearish player on this podcast, especially with Mo Noir.
He likes Star Wars.
See, I set it up for you. Perfect.
Apparently, the reason why he goes one side face paint, it is an ode to Anakin Skywalker, Mo. We all know it ends well for Anakin Skywalker.
Giants fans better pray this guy never sees the field, because you're not going to like what happens next. Chris Conley nodding somewhere. He knows.
By the way, shouts to Chris Conley. If you're watching this on YouTube, when you finish the video, just put it in the search bar, Chris Conley Star Wars video. This dude, for his Georgia, I don't know if it's a senior project, but he did like the Star Wars movie. And this was when it was like hard to edit this stuff, right? Chris Conley's old like us. Like this was like the early 2000s. So shouts to Chris Conley. Did a great job at UGA with this, with his Star Wars video project. A former Giant, a former Jet, a former Charger, a former Seahawk, now a Raider. Mo, once again, second week in a row, bullish on my guy, Eugene Cyril Smith, the second, and likes his over on touchdowns this season.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from overs this year after Josh Allen burned my ass last year. If you would have told me he was winning the MVP, man, it would have been scary how much I would have got down on that over 3,750 yards. But I'm willing to go back to the well for Geno Smith. Over 20.5 touchdowns is plus 100. Like Brett, I looked at the milestone markets for some alts here as well, and I found over 24.5 at plus 370 for Geno. I don't know if people realize, I had heard of this a few times, so I looked it up to see what exactly I could find on his splits. Geno has some insane indoor-outdoor splits, you guys. This is really, like, okay, outdoors, he's got, like, I think 74 touchdowns, 66 picks, okay? And indoors, he has 31 touchdowns in 16 career games between, I don't know, it splits it between dome and retractable roof, but I just added those together. 31 touchdowns, 16 games. Moving from Seattle to Vegas is going to be massive here. You also have multiple indoor games on the road: Indy, Chargers, Houston. I know, obviously, not like the easiest defenses there, but still, Geno has hit this number very consistently. 20 plus in each of the last 3 years. I'm already on the record bullish Raiders, and it's mostly because of the offense. I think their defense is probably still going to land in the back half of the league, similar to what we talked about with Bryce. Could see some shootouts here. Chip Kelly, I think, is an OC we can hopefully believe in here. And yeah, it should be in absolutely no danger of getting benched here because they just paid him. They just, spent resources to bring him in. Have to assume he's going to play out no matter what the record is looking like this year. So I don't understand this number at all, to be honest. So this is probably my favorite of the number props, like long shot futures. I think this line is kind of crazy.
Okay, I teased this earlier. Awards being about narratives. And with Josh Allen winning MVP last year, the AFC triumvirate of quarterbacks, Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, they got their MVPs. They got them out of the way. What if I told you there is a quarterback of a team that won 15, 14 games last year, who is priced at plus 1,000 to lead the league in passing yards, plus 1,200 to lead the league in passing touchdowns, and the narrative entering into the season for this team will be that without their genius coordinator on offense, this team is going to spiral. But what if Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions keep it together, win the NFC North, win the number 1 seed again in a conference that I think we're all generally pretty bearish on? So why can't, in this scenario, Jared Goff win MVP at plus 3,500? Why can't this happen? Will they just go the boring route? Well, here's the thing is, he was second in passing yards last year and 4th in touchdowns. Like, he puts up the stats if the offense keeps humming. The downside, and this is something I alluded to with Lamar and Josh Allen, is that he is a pocket passer, right? There could be negative variance in the touchdown direction, and Demont and Jahmyr Gibbs could be the ones converting all the red zone looks into touchdowns, and all of a sudden that touchdown number comes tumbling down, and Jared Goff is not going to scamper for a handful of touchdowns in the season to help bolster those numbers, bolster his EPA and his QBR. But in a market where Baker Mayfield is plus 2,500 and Caleb Williams is plus 3,700, You can't, these numbers are crazy, Mo. Like, you can't tell me that Goff plus 3,500 is insane. Can you? Is it insane, Mo?
I can. I mean, yeah, it's crazy that you say that about Caleb too. I remember thinking last year when I looked at the numbers for Caleb and the Bears, I thought those were the worst numbers on the board last year. I thought if you were betting anything, Bull, Bears, you needed to call your local sportsbook and ban yourself. Because nothing good's going to happen. That's all I'm saying. And this is even 25-1 for Caleb. Can we just? We don't even talk about that.
That was Baker. That was Baker. Caleb's 37-1. Baker was ridiculous. 25-1. Baker 25-1 is crazy. Like that is. Please, someone allow me to short that number. So you guys think it's just going to be boring again? It's just going to be Mahomes, Allen, Lamar? You think the voters are just going to roll the ball out? Like, they didn't give LeBron 12 MVPs, you know? They like just mixing it up. They love a story. We just need a story. We need 16-1 in Detroit. That's what we need.
That might do it, actually.
If they do it with that schedule, yes, he's live.
All right, one more quarterback prop, and it comes from Mo, and I love this one, Mo. This is great. This screams a coach who is going to tell his guy to not be an idiot, not run around like a chicken with his head cut off, which means we like the quarterback of the New England Patriots, Drake Maye, under 500.5 rushing yards. Guys,
Josh Allen's rushing prop is 500.5. Somebody explain to me why Drake Maye is at 500.5. I can't do it. I looked at this, and I think the only case I could possibly make for it is people are just looking at last year, which was, I think he ran for 421 yards, or was right around there. They're just looking at that. 12 games, multiply these extra games, he's in. Okay. No. All right. And this is coming from somebody who, on record with Rich, I do not like this New England offensive line. I still think Drake Maye is going to be in a lot of trouble this year. I don't care, man. These are the guys who ran for 500 yards last year while taking snaps. Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. That's it, okay? Does Drake Maye fit into that group? I ask you guys this. Does Drake Maye fit into that group? I don't think so, okay? Let me tell you, guys priced near him, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, those guys had 400 designed rushing yards between them, according to PFF's tracking. Guess how many Drake Maye had?
12.
Good guess.
I was going to say
14. 14 yards.
That's awesome.
They're not going to go for 14 to just 500 plus rushing. These guys who have these numbers are running for these yards as part of the offense. I mean, 500 yards is insane. If Drake Maye runs for 500, then I'm just going to pay the sportsbook. I don't care.
If you think the offensive line is going to suck again, he's just going to run for his life again. I mean, that's where all those yards came from last year, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be good, but last year was catastrophically bad. They just have to be like a bit better, and he's probably going to land at like 400 or something, 350. I mean, 500 plus is a ton.
Isn't there some CCE downside too if Drake Maye is running for a life, like a guy who was concussed last year? Yeah, this seems like a ton. And again, like I said, Vrabel just seems like the type of guy that is just, Drake, get down. Drake, throw the ball away. Drake, don't do something stupid. Like, he's going to try his damnedest to coach the reckless out of Drake Maye, which could mean kind of coach out some of the scrambling from him. And if he's not getting yards on the ground, well, maybe the rookie running back from the Ohio State University might. And Donnie likes over. Donnie's quietly Pat's-pilled again. Over 700.5 rushing yards for Treveyon Henderson.
Yeah, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. He's going to get this in 6 games. I mean, what? I mean, what is this? 700 yards? I tried so hard to find a line that was like rushing and receiving yards because I think this guy's just going to blow doors. I think he's going to get the majority of the snaps. He looks fast as all hell.
Like, he looks different.
He looks great.
I'll give you that. He looks different, right? When he gets the ball and gets to the second level, he looks like a different kid.
I mean, I'm at the stage where, like, to your point, Rich, getting the Pats pill again. Put this guy in bubble wrap to the season. He better not touch the ball for the rest of the preseason. The hell with it. I've seen enough. He's good to go. But I want to try and find the line that's a combination, like we used to look at the old Alvin Kamara lines, like something like that, because I think he's going to get a lot of the dump offs. He can take those to the house. If things start to break down, maybe he kind of scoots out there. Drake Maye just dumps him the ball, boom, to the house for 60. Let's go. But yeah, 700.5. Come on, they're going to run the ball a lot in New England.
Dump it off, Drake. Don't run it.
That line is insane. Drake Maye is not going to be running the ball all over the field like a lunatic. Come on.
Speaking of dump-offs, speaking of the AFC East, Mo did find a receiving market for a member of the greatest football team.
Miami and the Dolphins, the greatest football team.
My guy JJ made the point for Devon Achane this year in fantasy. If the Dolphins' offense improves, that means their running game is going to improve, and Devon Achane is going to have opportunities to run the football. If the Miami Dolphins' offensive line still stinks and they can't protect, Devon Achane's going to do just fine because he's going to get a trillion dump-offs in this offense.
Dude, I was just like, I knew I was going to fire this over. I knew I was going to like this number because of one thing, and you guys know what it is. It's a guy we talked about last year that I couldn't believe we were capping for, and it's Jonnu Smith. With Jonnu Smith gone, who is going to catch these dump-offs in Miami? They had basically a two-tiered passing game last year. It was either throwing deep to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle or throwing short to Jonnu Smith and Devon Achane. It was like those guys all got like 80-plus targets and nobody else got more than like 35. So one of those guys is gone, okay? So Achane is going to get so many screens and dump-offs. 450, he's going to blow past this number unless he gets hurt.
I can't find the number because we're in the middle of the show, and I edited a clip for JJ when he was talking about Devon Achane, and he noted the importance of Jonnu Smith's departure. I think they were both top 10 in design pass plays, meaning one read, screen, or quick smokes to both players. They were both in the top 10. Now, all of a sudden, you take one of the players away. Jonnu Smith is completely gone. So a lot of those quick schemed touches will likely maybe continue to go to Devon Achane, so we can at least expect him to maintain what he looked at last year, but there could be an additional amount based on the absence of the other player in the offense that they like to get the ball to quickly. So, yeah, Achane to the moon, I think.
Are you saying that Darren Waller is not the guy?
I'd be surprised if Darren Waller is the answer, guys.
Man, I really do think Mike McDaniels is going to be out of a job by Halloween. Like, I think this Dolphins team is going to be horrendous. And I wanted to... I was also interested in Tua's interception stats because what does that offense look like when it isn't Mike McDaniel calling the plays and Tua just goes back to being a pumpkin as a player? But if you want to talk about injury concern, nobody takes the cake like Tua Tagovailoa. Let's put a bow on running backs and keep it with you, Mo. Keep it positive, back to the positivity, up to the Pacific Northwest. A man who will be running the gap scheme, the old Shanahan style, and it might be perfect for a one-cut runner like Kenny Walker III.
Did I keep it positive?
Oh, it's under.
Maybe
it's
I misclicked.
It's a U. No, it's my. That's just me. That's poor producing. I kind of like Kenny Walker, so I'm interested to hear the bear case.
Well, I mean, the bear case is, are we sure he's the best running back on his team? I mean, Zach Charbonnet had a higher success rate than Kenneth Walker each of the last 2 years. And I think this is going to be a very bad offensive line. So I don't really see the case for Walker going, having a big year. I mean, this offensive line was 28th in run block win rate last year. I think that's legitimate and reflective of their talent level. He's already nursing a foot injury, guys. I don't know. They're saying they're just being careful, but you know how foot injuries can linger, and one thing goes wrong, all of a sudden the guy's out for a month. He has not been the healthiest player in general in his entire career. So I think this is probably going to be close to a 50-50 split. They drafted this guy, Damian Martinez. He was playing well the other day. Could see him sneaking in there for a few carries here and there.
Damian Martinez.
I like Damian Martinez. I
thought he was looking good the other day, and they apparently like him. So I don't know, man. This is like a bell cow type of number, 875. Give me the under for sure on a bad team that I think is not going to have a good offense.
I'm Kubiak pilled. I can't lie. I cannot shake the first 2 weeks of last season. I can't do it, guys. I saw something happened those 2 weeks for that Saints offense. I didn't imagine it, right? Like, they were absolute gangbusters for 2 weeks, right? Something's in there.
Yeah, but what if it's Zach Charbonnet?
It could be. It could be something Charbonnet. All right. Okay. Back to positivity. I'm sure this time. I'm looking at it. Mo's got 2 left. They're both unders, but Donnie's got an over. And I don't know. The hype train is out of control for this player, but I'm kind of with Donnie on this one. When in doubt, if you need someone to catch passes, draft somebody from The Ohio State University, because Emeka Egbuka, all this dude does is catch footballs. Chris Godwin, second surgery. Mike Evans getting up there. Jalen McMillan's dead now. R.I.P. my guy. That looked horrendous. So, Egbuka, over 650 receiving yards. Why not, TP?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you said it. The Ohio State University just, churns these guys out. Left, right, and center. I mean, they all seem to be pretty damn good. Agree with everything you say. I will add that, Baker Mayfield looks halfway decent at this point in his career. He can move the ball around. He can move around in the pocket, keep the play active, get the ball downfield. I love Chris Godwin. I think we all love Chris Godwin here. I don't know what the hell to expect from Chris Godwin. Even if he's obviously good to go health-wise, do they kind of just shift up his role? He just doesn't have the same burst that he once had, can't separate as much. I don't know. Maybe this is too much drinking of the Kool-Aid and buying into the hype, because all you hear about Egbuka is he's just freaking incredible. So, maybe that gives me a little bit of, cause of concern to want to pull back, but I don't know. I can't do it. I'm in.
I can't hate it. Especially if Godwin comes back slow, is re-injured. I'm not even concerned about the slot thing. I think Egbuka can play inside out and all over the formation. So I'm not worried about this. So, and yeah, the Bucs offense, it's crazy 2 years in a row. Canales gone, Cohen gone. Can they keep it going? The Bucs are one of the most fascinating teams for me to watch at the beginning of the season, because again, the market is treating them like they're going to roll out and be the best team in the NFC South and be deserved favorites at home against bad teams. And I'm just interested to see it. If Baker Mayfield, for a 3rd year in a row, 3rd different coordinator, can keep the offense rolling. It certainly helps when you keep getting Egbukas and McMillans, and Mike Evans continues to play great, and Bucky Irvin comes online. It definitely helps when those things all click. All right, let's keep it negative. I feel like you had this under last year. Speaking of Detroit Motor City, the Honolulu Blue, I feel like somebody had under Jameson Williams last year. I'll pull up my sheet, but Mo, you give the bear case on J-Mo.
Well, if they did, they lost. But I don't think... I don't know. Maybe I did. Anyways, yeah, big number for Jameson Williams this year, 900.5. I don't know if I can get behind it, and that's coming from somebody who was drafting a lot of Jameson last year and very happy with the insane year he put up. I mean, I didn't write these stats down because I got tired of taking so many notes over hours and hours of poring over these markets. I think Jameson Williams was second or third in yards per target last year, guys. And he got to like just over 1,000 at, literally being like the most efficient receiver in the NFL. So what in the world are the chances that repeats? I mean, I know the guy has legitimate deep skills, but the Lions are not likely to be scorched earth burning the NFL down again without their genius offensive coordinator. So, offensive line takes a step back. The overall offense takes a step back. Tough schedule. Something Isaac Tesla is coming in and everybody is like excited. The coaching staff is excited. They're like, it sounds like he might take some of the touches and the reps this year. I mean, I just feel like there's going to be some regression and Jameson Williams might bear the brunt of it. I mean, 17 yards per reception and like I said, top of the NFL in yards per target. The efficiency seems inevitably going to take a hit. So when the volume comes down as well, which I think it kind of has to, unless Detroit, like you said, Rich, goes 16-1 and they're just the best offense in the league again, it does not seem very likely. This number seems too high to me.
You got to just get someone to send Jameson some bonuses or something, some same game parlay action. get him off the board. Nobody had Jameson unders, but I was looking at the sheet from last year. Some really incredible ones in there, including Mo's Zach Moss under 775 rushing yards. 775.
One of the all-time worst lines.
Oh my goodness. All right, one more negative, and then we're going to get out of here. I think a podcast favorite, but this is a massive number for Nico Collins. 1,125.5 yards. You got to stay healthy, and you have to pretty much be elite to clear this number.
Yeah, I mean, I know what the bull case is. It's Nico had 1,006 yards last year in 12 games. So again, it's just like people doing arithmetic, like with the Drake Maye one, and they're just like, okay, of course Nico can get another 125 yards and play the full season. Well, number one, I don't know if he's going to play the full season. Number two, this is a lot of yards. This hurts me to say as somebody who, like Rich, we are all big fans of Nico, I think, on this podcast. I love Nico, man, but I don't believe in this offense at all. And like we were saying, I think Houston, even if they're a good team, is going to be Houston's trying to win rock fights this year, I think. So I don't foresee a lot of passing volume, and what passing volume there is, I think is going to be a lot more split up than it's been the last few years. They sink serious draft capital into this wide receiver core, taking the two Iowa State guys, and then they bring in Christian Kirk. I think there's actual competition for touches, and this is me also assuming Tank Dell is not going to be a thing, which who knows what's going to happen there. There's really no way to say. But yeah, I'm down on this offense. Dreadful offensive line, a brutal schedule, kind of. I mean, I know the division is terrible, but when you play the first place schedule in the AFC, you are facing Baltimore, you are facing Seattle. Both of those games are on the road. They got to play the Chiefs in Arrowhead. They got to play Denver. This is a tough selection of defenses, man. So hats off if Nico goes over this number, basically. I love the player. It brings me no joy to fire this under, but I think this number's too high.
Yeah, bringing in Higgins and Noel. Of course, we don't know what comes with Tank Dell, but it seems like that target share pie is getting cut a little thinner for Nico Collins. And then, yeah, if this offensive line is as bad as predicted, and the Texans defense is as good as it looks on paper with a coach like D'Amico Ryans, you would think they would want to try to compress time of possession, keep these games a little tighter, which could reduce volume in addition to reducing the target share there for Nico Collins. Player props. Next week, we're going to do something a little different, something we haven't tried before, but I think it's a good exercise. 1 week before the season starts, we're going to look at we're going to discuss things we are looking for in week 1. Everyone has all these preconceived notions. We've had all these predictions and thoughts this summer, but let's try to narrow down things for these teams or for coaches or for players that can help us make good decisions as the Circa Sports Million kicks off. What will we be looking for in week 1? So that's what we're going to bring you next week. Make sure you follow these guys on Twitter at Donnie_Peters, at Brett Colson, COLLSON, and at Mo Nuwara, NUWWARAH. I'm at Rich T. Ryan. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment below. Give us your favorite player prop or one that you like that we gave you. We'd love to hear it. And until next week, enjoy the end of preseason. Enjoy the start of your fantasy drafts. And just before you know it, week 1 will be here. Until next time, peace.